Elie Wiesel, a genocide survivor and author of Night, once said, "Education is the key to preventing the cycle of violence and hatred that marred the 20th century from repeating itself in the 21st century." Time and time again, we hear quotes like "never again." But more and more, victims not so much of the Holocaust, but of Bosnia, Rwanda, and Darfur are being forgotten. People do not realize that during the 3.5-month Rwandan genocide, that the number 800,000 stands for real people. 333 per hour, 5 per minute slaughtered, tortured, raped, and hacked apart. People do not realize that 400,000 dead and 2.5 million driven from their homes represents a majority of the pre-genocide population in Darfur. In schools, we are neglecting human rights issues to prepare students for standardized tests. The lives of innocent civilians also need to hold importance in our society. As Samantha Power stated so eloquently in her book, A Problem from Hell, time and time again, decent men and women choose to look away. We have all been bystanders to genocide. It is time for you to make your own decision. Will you look away, or will you do what you can for mothers, fathers, brothers, and sisters in Darfur? Children are the most valuable resource we have. The only way we can end such atrocities is to educate our children, to teach them to care, and to teach them that what they think matters. We need to teach them to act politically, socially, and stand up for what is right. 3 years ago, my school formed a chapter of Students Taking Action Now Darfur, the student-led division of the Genocide Intervention Network. We've held numerous concerts to generate funds for relief, fasted to raise money for refugee protection, made presentations teaching the conflict and history classes, and helped start a school for refugee students in Chad. Their students have something to teach us. They wish to teach us that as we sit in these cushioned seats with our Sunday best on and shoes on our feet, that there are millions out there that are starving and without any semblance of schooling. With all of our resources, we have our own responsibility. Not only do we have a responsibility to protect these people, but we have a responsibility to teach our own students to think beyond themselves. We've been to Washington, D.C. and lobbied our representatives. We've been here to Boston to lobby our legislators to divest from Sudan. We've organized ourselves to combat genocide. We've set our list of priorities. Human life first. I've witnessed children in my school as young as 14 calling Representative Delahunt to ask for his help. Ladies and gentlemen, we have done our part, and now it's time for you to do yours. What you can do as legislators is to pass H.R. 463. To date, only 9 out of our 50 states have any semblance of genocide education in their curriculums, and only California and New Jersey have funded mandates. We cannot let children finish their high school careers with only a warped view of the Holocaust and blank stares at the words Armenia, Bosnia, and Rwanda. I can think of few things more important than to teach them humanity and goodwill to men. We need to tell our children the truth. The world is not a perfect place, and there is much that we take for granted. We hate doctor's appointments, while millions around the world would do anything for adequate medical care. We won't eat our mother's asparagus, while millions more are malnourished, starving around the world. We cry over a 3-week relationship while there are 100,000 women being raped in Sudan. These children have the right and capacity to learn. We cannot close their eyes any longer and shelter them from what is truth to hundreds of millions of people around the world. We also cannot teach just the Holocaust and leave it at that. We need to give the children the material and resources with which they can educate themselves and fight for what is right.
Hi, I'm Andy Ramirez, and I'm a junior from Howard High School. I've been a member of STAND for 2 years, and I became interested in STAND after I heard 2 genocide survivors speak. Their stories made me realize that we need to help and we need to take action. In my remarks, I'd like to focus on the changes we are proposing to H.R. 463. We're proposing that in Section 1, Paragraph 1, to replace the words "any one such genocide may" with "at least 2 genocides should." So the sentence will read, "Case studies of at least 2 genocides should be used to demonstrate the concept of genocide." As it stands now, it only requires that schools teach 1 instance of genocide, and that's not likely to change anything. This is because every high school in Massachusetts most likely teaches about the Holocaust. They must be educated on the present-day atrocities in Rwanda, Darfur, Burma, Congo, and anywhere else, as well as the Holocaust. The past and present genocides must be connected. Not only will this make history real, it will create a force against the unlawful extermination of millions of innocent people. Genocide isn't just an awful thing that happened once. It's something that has happened and is still continuing to happen to this present day. Through the education of not one, but multiple genocides, children will realize that genocide is a current issue and one that must be stopped. So please consider the amended language. Our bill faces another difficulty because it mandates $50,000 in spending of the Department of Education. Our numbers come upon the advice of the legal representatives of the Telling History Project and the Children's Fund for Creative Education. Our legislation is not unprecedented, as other specific education programs are funded individually and at a much higher cost. Funding could provide teacher trainings, more detailed guides and curricular materials, and the spread of such materials and knowledge to middle and high schools throughout the Commonwealth. However, if funding is not attainable at this time, I urge you to move the bill forward without it, to find another way of giving this bill teeth and substance, or of delaying the funding until a more economically feasible fiscal year. Another possible objection might be to an additional mandate on the Department of Education. This legislation is by no means intended to infringe upon a teacher's right to creativity within his classroom, but to glaze over or provide a one-sided perspective on the deaths of millions of innocent civilians, and to create holes in a child's history education so great it would distort the very fabric of the curriculum. We hope you will see the value of this in improving education.